Hi everybody, welcome back. So week 32 we're coming up to. Bit of an update on how the training has went this week, and it's pretty much non-existent. I've been struggling with just a bad cough and a cold ever since the Wild Goose Chase Festival last weekend and the Ducks Nuts. So I haven't done any running at all since last Sunday. It's now Saturday the 7th, so it's quite a lot. That's a week gone for me, but I just can't shake this cold. So I know deep down it's the right thing to do, just to take the time off. But just want to touch base and kind of keep everybody in the loop, how things are going, how the training hasn't went. Back to work on Thursday. Yeah, back to work on Thursday morning, and it's been head busy at work, so I haven't had much of a chance between recovery and getting back into things. So it's Monday and Tuesday was very sick, very kind of low. Body just shot to shit after the long weekend of the running, and starting to recover now the last couple of days, but definitely have still got lingering cough, chesty cough. So give it another few days, and then we can start back running and start back training again. I do apologise. This week's topic I would like to kind of discuss. Stephen G had left a comment on YouTube and had a few things that he'd like to hear about. But I was going to just touch base on my race crew for the Delirious 200. What I did last year and what I plan to do this year. He's also asked a few comments, Stephen G, on nutrition, so I'll do that in a separate cast. I'm very cautious of making these things too long. So in terms of my race crew for the 200 miler, even the 100 milers I've done, I usually just go with family and friends. Even in the triathlon, the Ultraman, the 3-day one that I did, my wife, my sister, and my good friend Gary has came and crewed me for that. And so I like to have, I like to include the family in it, especially whenever it's such a long thing. And I know they kind of say, oh, I don't, I always get roped into it. And I know Louise really enjoyed the crewing last year. The kids really enjoyed it too, even though it was long 4 days. None of them have said that they won't do it this year. And I've heard mixed results talking to different people. Some people say, oh, you should never have your family and that crew for you always fall out. I know people that have got other runners and physios and masseuses and coaches and things on their crew, which is great. That if I suppose it's all kind of where you're catering for and what you're going with. To me, it's a run just to challenge myself, and not I suppose I'm not at the pointy end of the competitive end. So if I lose 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes at an aid station, it's not the end of the world for me. Maybe 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, or if I was ever thinking about being competitive in it, I would maybe change my thinking. But no, I just like making it an experience, getting all the family members involved. Usually what we'll do is we'll if we can, we'll maybe add a bit of a holiday on before it or after it. Try and make it a bit of a break, so it's not just them chasing me around racing. So yeah, I think it's a good way, because they're the ones that I feel I'm missing out and sacrificing time with whenever I'm training. So while I'm training, I'm taking time away from being with, Louise and the kids. So I think it's nice if they can be part of it, and it's not just the long hours that I've committed till the race, and they kind of feel part of the event, I suppose, part of the race. So I certainly would never force them till crew if they really didn't want to do it, and just said, look, that we're not coming, we're sick of that shit, we did it last year, we're not doing it again. I certainly would look to alternatives. My problem is Louise doesn't run. Last year, so in terms of pacing wise, my second girl Nicole ran with me, kind of done one night section, probably 13-14k during the night, and it was it suited well because it was a really kind of slow one for me, and it was great to have her for company on that. And Nicole's not a runner by any stretch of the imagination, but she had a good time and enjoyed it. And Ben, actually, my young son, paced me the last section from the aid station. I think it was 10k to the end, and again, I wasn't moving very fast and I wasn't running an awful lot, but it was great to have him there along for the ride and for the experience. So that was really good, having my own personal nurse Amy out as my taking care of me and looking after me out there at the aid stations is awesome as well. So I really enjoyed the family kind of aspect of it last year, but then it did mean I had to rely heavily on my good friends for pacing, which I'm lucky I've got a few that don't mind coming down and pacing for that. Gary Taylor came and paced me for a good maybe 15-16 hours. I don't even want to measure it in Ks, but pretty much came down after work and stayed pretty much as long as he could till he had to go home again on the Sunday. The same with Andy Baldwin. Give up the time, come down, run with me, kept me motivated. Tom Lynch too. So I've been very lucky to have friends and family do the race with me and get involved. So I suppose it really depends on what you're going with. If you've got training buddies that you can kind of use as pacers and crew, excellent. I just find it really helpful, as I say, having people people you trust. In terms of I'll sit down, I'll come up with a plan of how I think the race is going to go. I'll talk through the plan with Louise and the kids for the crewing aspect of it. I'll touch base with the pacers, kind of let them know how I think things are going to go. I do tell them that it's a guideline, more of a plan, because let's face it, 200 miles, and it took me 100 hours last year, so there's a lot of stuff gonna potentially go wrong and change out there, so I try not to get too caught up on it. I try to apologise always in advance for any times that I potentially are gonna come into an aid station feeling bad or shitty and down. I like to give them plenty of notice on the possibility that I might not be that enjoyable. I don't ever think I get snappy or grumpy. I like to think anyway in my own head. I just sometimes whenever things are going tough, I'll go into myself, which if you've got somebody pacing you for 10 or 12 hours or 6 or 7 hours or 8 or 9 or whatever the case is, and you're not talking that much, it can be a bit. I always feel that I'm not probably giving them the experience that they deserve for coming and giving up. So I try to give them fair warning in advance before they come across that. So that's really my take on kind of the cruise. I haven't planned anything different for this year. I do know that I have had a few offers from different people that potentially said they'll come down this year again, and I honestly think that, you know, the more the merrier. I'm quite happy with. If there's people wanting to give up their time, it obviously gives the other people that's around a bit of a break and that there. And yeah, look, I love to have as many people about as possible, as many pacers as can kind of join us. To me, there's a lot of people, you know, that get to experience it, or that would like to maybe get a little glimpse of it, and I certainly, you know, I'm more than welcome, or I'm more than happy to have the extra company. So I would never put anybody off. I do understand that it is a long way from Perth, you know, and it's a bit of a track for most people again. So on the flip side of that, if people can't make it, I totally understand, and you know, I appreciate them even thinking about doing such a journey. I suppose I am kind of prepared. Like last year, I was prepared to run as much of it as I needed to on my own. Now, thankfully, that didn't happen because, as I say, the guys all came down and they all showed the support. So I was eternally grateful for that. But I suppose it's part and parcel of it. I am, you know, I'm prepared to have to do it on my own, and I suppose the more I've done of them, the more prepared I am to do it on my own. But having a pacer is awesome. I really recommend the pacer, and I think an event for that size, you definitely want at least two of a support crew, just to give one's to drive and the other one to brake. I was quite lucky. All the two eldest girls both drove, and Louise was drove, so they could kind of mix it up and break it up. They had 2 cars down with them. So yeah, that's kind of it. Make sure you've got the maps and all done for them to make it as easy and stress free as you can for them. Is another tip I would kind of go with, and nice little gifts is probably another little touch that's worth doing for them, giving up their time. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach my crew planning for the 200 miler. As I say, it's been similar. My family has came and supported me in quite a few things over the years, or I suppose from my very first marathon actually, and then into the years of the Ironman. Louise has always been there. She's always been the woman behind the line. It's my strength, you know, giving me the support and pushing me on to do it. So I do appreciate that very much, Louise. And I just find it great that she's there. I can't ever imagine her not being there, to be honest. So I've been really blessed, and look, to me, if it's a partner or that, and you do end up arguing and stuff at the race, I can't really advise you on it. It hasn't happened to us yet, but I would say you'd probably know that would be the case anyway. Before I would try it out, certainly on some of your longer training stuff, I would always get Louise involved. You know, maybe I could come out and just drop me some food or whatever it is, just so that you can kind of get that interaction and get a feel for it. So that's another kind of piece of advice. But look, hope you found this interesting or helpful. Sorry it's not in a more scenic setting than in my little cell again. I will try and get better, and whenever I'm out in R&R I might pre-record one of these things. But yeah, look, leave me your feedback. Let me know how you're planning to get your crew sorted out. who you're planning to have for your crew, how many people you think you'll have for your crew, yeah, and any extra questions that I might have missed or might not have covered, please leave a comment in the comments below on YouTube, and I'll certainly answer them all and give that feedback back. And thanks for watching. I hope your training is going really well if you are training for the Delirious West or whatever you're training for at the minute. I hope you're avoiding the flu or cold season, I suppose, and take care, enjoy the trails, and we'll chat the next time.